Hey, I'm Sharlene.
And I'm Harry.
We just wanted to take a moment to tell you about the 2 weeks we've just spent in TIRANA, Albania.
Yeah, TIRANA, Albania, what a great place to go. It's absolutely good time. So we'll focus on some of the highlights that we did while we experienced the 2 weeks there.
And we'll tell you all about the cost and whether we think we'd go back again.
So in saying that, let's get started. What would you like to talk about first?
One of the things that we loved most about TIRANA was how friendly the people were. The younger generation speak really good English, but the older, not so much. But we actually managed to do okay between doing gestures and charades and smiling. We got it through and we got what we needed each and every time.
Yeah, what was also unique, like Charlie mentioned, the younger generation is learning a lot more English as a secondary language, so there wasn't a whole lot of language barrier, but we also had tools that we used on our phone to translate English to Albanian. So the things that we had to translate, like what price it was and things of that nature with the older generation that, still carry Albanian as their only language. It wasn't a big hassle, but we did learn a few phrases like Falamandir was thank you, good morning, and things of that nature.
One of the things that I did notice was the essentials tended to be a little bit cheaper than the more luxury items. If you wanted to buy an off-brand toothbrush, it'd be a lot cheaper than buying the Colgate or the imported versions of the same thing. So we've got some video and some photos that we can share about the prices of things that we found in the supermarket and the pharmacy.
Yeah, and saying that also, we just took some general video and pictures of like things that we would probably buy in America or things to compare it with as you buy things in the supermarket in America as compared to what's in Albania. And also we did some local video of some of the markets that we went to, which was fantastic because the market prices were incredible. I know day one I was looking for olives and they were so cheap, and so I ended up getting like a kilo of olives, which lasted me for about 2 weeks. But also apricots and dried fruits, nuts were also cheap, but then just the produce itself.
So by shopping with a local shop, you'll find some really great prices. You're only going to be buying things that are in season, but the prices and the flavour was amazing.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that I know Charlene liked as well was strawberries.
Oh my goodness,
they range in price from 120 to 100 lek. So like
$1.
100 lek is a US dollar. So I thought, man, those are fantastic strawberries and they're fresh. But then also their dairy products like milk and cheese is relatively cheap. And then of course the bread. The bread was so cheap. The bread lady in our neighborhood near the old bazaar, I mean, we ended up probably getting, I won't say on a daily basis, but on a regular basis, a baguette, which probably cost about 60 US cents. So it was always nice to go in there and see her as well. And then of course we tried a local favorite called a barek.
That was good too.
Well, we got to say, let's call it, is it a barek? Is that right, baby?
Yep.
It's a traditional Albanian pastry that you can get any time of the day. And they're either filled with just cheese or tomato and onion or cheese and spinach. But for 50 lek, which is the Albanian currency, which comes to about 50 cents, I'm going to give this a shot. So here we go. Well, it is a good fluffy puff pastry. And the cheese, I don't know what kind of cheese it is, but it's either goat or, not sure, but it's good. A little salty, but it's good. Definite must when you get here.
One of the things we noticed about TIRANA was that it's very much a cash-based society. So any of the markets, the smaller stores, even some of the restaurants, especially the local restaurants outside of the tourist areas, only took cash. So make sure that you have cash on you because you're going to use it.
Oh, definitely. And I think some of the favorite places that we went to, number one, there was a gentleman in our area that did these meat sticks were incredible.
Lamb,
Yeah.
little lamb.
Little
sticks.
lamb sticks about so big. Yeah, 10 in a little container about so big, and but they're absolutely gorgeous and absolutely inexpensive. And another place we used to love to go to is our local gelato place. Now the girls are very patient with us too, because trying to decipher what the flavors were and the size of the cone and stuff like that. But again, they only took cash. But again, it was only $1 for a cone, so you couldn't beat that. So we loaded up on that.
Yeah, probably too much.
Charlene, what flavored gelato did you get tonight? Kiwi fruit. A kiwi eating kiwi. Is it good?
Very good.
One of the things that we have found is that it's very much a coffee culture here in Albania, which I can understand because a coffee is wonderful, especially after American coffee. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you're allowed to say that. I mean, it was so strong, and I loved it because regardless of the form that you got in it, whether it was they had a cappuccino or what they called a fettuccine or even a frappe, it was just incredible.
So yummy. And we found over the 2 weeks, we started kind of blending into the society and taking longer and enjoying it more rather than rushing and trying to get out the door. Very great.
That was just one of the personal experiences that I overcame. Was I was always rushing and rushing and rushing, having a coffee, but we found ourselves sort of like the rest of the culture here is just like relaxing and taking 30 minutes to enjoy their coffee. And you didn't feel rushed by the staff no matter what location you went to, because they understood this was something to enjoy. So.
And typically you would have to chase them down to be able to pay at the end. They didn't come and try and give you your bill to get you out the door. It was really nice.
Another thing that we noticed too is the traffic is totally different from what it is in the States. Now, you have to get used to that because there are other cities here in Europe that kind of do the same thing, where it's like the law's in my own hands, or the law of gross tonnage, where it's like, even though the stop signs are there and the cops are there trying to manage traffic, it's a law amongst themselves as to, okay, I'm going to go or I'm not going to go. So I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. One of the questions that we've been asked quite a few times by friends and family is, what are we going to do about our medical prescriptions? We've got prescriptions, like physical prescriptions for our medications that we have. How are we going to get them filled? What are we going to do when we're overseas? So I just take one medication for cholesterol. I just walked into pharmacy. I was all prepared. I had my passport. I had my prescription from my US doctor. And I asked if they carried it. And she said, sure. Here's a month's worth. Has your doctor prescribed it? And I said, yes. She said, how would you like to pay? Couldn't believe it. It was so easy. And it cost $4.30 for a month's worth.
Yeah, I just found that so surprised
That was
because
crazy.
if we didn't even, she didn't even ask for any kind of documentation, verified, the script that was written by her doctor. So as far as Albania goes, getting your prescriptions filled while you're on travel is not a problem because, well, at least it wasn't for us, because we just basically walked into the pharmacy and she was like, here you go. So I found that kind of, okay.
And cheaper than what we get in the States as well, which was really interesting.
Another thing too, when we're talking medical, is I noticed that Albania is becoming a hub for like different cosmetic surgeries.
Right.
We saw a lot of women and men too that had like the bandages over their noses, and basically they had some rhinoplasty done, but they have other surgeries that they could do there as well. One of the other things that we noticed too, and that kind of impacts us a whole heck of a lot, is the Wi-Fi access. And Wi-Fi here was pretty good. I would say in Tirana there was free Wi-Fi spots all over the place. Another thing that I noticed too was there was free charging stations in some of the parks and things of that nature. But for us, Wi-Fi at our Airbnb was not a problem. We had it 24/7. It was fast. It was reliable. And then even out in town, even though we do have SIM cards, the eSIM cards, we didn't rely on them a whole lot just because of the fact there was a lot of Wi-Fi that was available. Well, let's talk price for a minute. And the price for our cab when we landed in Tirana was pretty good for the taxi. There was a gentleman there as soon as we landed. We were outside. We actually had a little bit of lunch because we were pretty hungry. And then we found this gentleman that was out by the taxi stand, and he spoke perfect English, and he was like, I can get you to your central Airbnb for 23 euro. And
that was
they
about
took
40
cards.
minutes.
Yeah.
It was a decent drive, so I was pretty impressed. I was a little worried that it was going to cost us a lot of money to get into downtown, but it was a flat fee. You paid at the airport, you got off at the other end, done and dusted.
Yeah, and it was pretty enjoyable to watch the traffic as we ran into the flight too, because it was quite an experience. Another thing that we took advantage of was just being a tourist. So, Sanderberg Square was a lot of fun, seeing people enjoying life, seeing live Albanian music being played, and just some of the other attractions that were there. Of course, the National Museum is there, the Opera House is there. Not far from there is a place called Bunkart 2. And Bunkart 2 is they have these bunkers all over the place during the Cold War. They built these bunkers in case there was an attack by the West, so people could go and hide and stuff like that. But during the communist regime, they were used for more sinister things, to include torture, and if you didn't comply to the communist way of life, this was I'm going to say it was a very interesting place to go, to Bunkart 2, and just to see the amount of people that came to visit this place. It was packed. They're actually very large underground bunkers too, made of pure, solid concrete, and the walls are pretty thick. But some of the things that went on there, they described some of those things, some of the different spying devices they had, to spy on their own people. And then some of the torture methods as well. It was an incredible experience. It was a kind of sad experience, but it was just part of their history. And to see how far they've come since then.
In a very short period of time.
Oh yes, because everything that we're reading, it was still prevalent within the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
Where communism was still there, but it's a very capitalist society now. And then it was kind of nice to see that people have, okay, let's get this out of our past. And I think that's why you have that new and old culture where more people are becoming more similar, I would say, capitalistic nature instead of communist nature.
One of the other touristy things that we did was to go up in the Darjeeling Express, which is the cable car, the longest cable car in the Balkan area, 4,300 meters from bottom to top. The views up there were just amazing. So we spent a morning just wandering around up there, enjoying some lunch. We sat there and watched the world go by, and the views were just incredible. Yes,
1,000 meter above sea level. And some of the things that we didn't take advantage of, but you could do up there, was like there was some parks that you could wander around in. There was playgrounds. There was like a mini golf course. And then there's paragliding. As you can see from the video, Charlene took some video while we were eating lunch. People that were actually paragliding down to the bottom part of the complex. So it was very enjoyable day. The weather was perfect too. I mean, in April, I think that's probably the best time to come in Albania, because you're starting to get that change of season, and there's not a whole lot of tourists. I think there's probably just a handful of other tourists in the area, but we were able to catch up with some other great people as well, and have some great dinners too. So
We just finished being at the top of, what's it called, baby?
Dashti Express?
Dashti Express. That's the name of the actual gondola that we're on right now. And what an incredible view, as you can probably tell. Unfortunately, it's pretty muffed up, the glass, with graffiti and stuff like that. But the view from the top was just absolutely stunning. The weather during the month of April is just incredible. So if you have an opportunity to come up this way, I highly recommend this is like your number one thing to do when you're in the city of Tirana here in Albania.
I guess the real question that we might get asked is, will we stay here again? And for Tirana, I would come back again. There's a lot of things that we didn't get a chance to do just because, you know, they're an hour or two out of here or an hour here or things of that nature. So is there a possibility we might rent a car? We'll see. But if I were to come back to Tirana again, I'd say definitely yes. How about you?
Yeah, I got sick for the last probably 4 days we were there, so that really didn't help matters. But yeah, there's so many places I want to go and things I want to see. I'd definitely go back.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. And as we mentioned earlier, we're now in Saranda, Albania. It's a coastal town, just not too far from Corfu, Greece. So at the end of that video, we'll start looking at doing like a budget and looking at prices. So I hope you join us for that. So again, thank you for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always,
See you next time.